So, when I saw the episode yesterday and recorded my reaction, it was very, not disappointed, but, I expected to either be really sad or really happy. It's like, oh, sad because of what happened, or happy because Komaeda's on the screen. I was very middle of the road, like, yes, that's a thing. Like, I wasn't really sad. In fact, I think it's a great episode. It's a pretty great episode to explain what kind of character Komaeda is, and just how incredible that talent is of being lucky. So I went back and I rewatched the episode with a couple things in mind. And I want to give a first shout out to Weeby Newz on YouTube. She's been doing a lot of analysis of the characters, and recently I watched her analysis on Komaeda. And one of the things that she brought up in her video that really stuck with me was this chart on OCD. OCD being one of the symptoms of the illnesses that he has, specifically the frontotemporal dementia. A lot of the symptoms from that disease are OCD, social disorders, lack of empathy, muscle weakness, and these are all things we see in Komaeda. Now, the chart that she used in the video, I remember seeing those parts, and I think it's pretty accurate as to who Komaeda is and how his power works. Now, the first part of this chart, this cycle of OCD, starts with the obsession. The obsession for Komaeda at this point being ultimate hope. The next part of that cycle is anxiety. This is when he's taken off guard by something, most likely being his bad luck. Well, the next part is compulsion, which means essentially he's going to cause himself the despair so that he can choose what kind of bad luck he's actually facing. And then the last part is relief, meaning since he's already chosen despair, once that blissful hope actually happens, he's either already accepted that he's in despair, or is blissfully surprised by hope. Komaeda already knows the outcome of the cycle. He already knows all the parts, and whether or not he follows them to a T, the cycle will continue. And it happens in the episode. So, at the beginning of the episode, I kind of mistook his sad demeanor for, I could never pass this exam myself with my talent. But, in fact, that was not the case. He looks sad because he knows that after what had just happened, meaning this whole murder-suicide at the school, all of his classmates are going to be way too depressed to give it their all. He even admits, they could do it, they could ace it all, no problem. But he wants to see them at their best. This is his obsession. He goes and he asks Chisa, the instructor, to postpone the exams. Which, it's hard to say whether or not he already knew she would say no. Maybe because she's been so nice, he's like, oh yeah, she'll definitely help. But it was interesting to me because in the shot where his smile disappears, it's very much shock. It's very much disappointment. You don't see his eyes. It's just an overall weird scene to see him give up so quickly and then leave. It's only after he leaves the office that we actually see his demeanor change, less surprised and more ready to take care of the situation. I think that this is all representative of the anxiety part of the cycle, not just her turning him down, but the fact that the exams are happening at all. The anxiety comes from the fact that he knows that the other talents are not going to be at their best, which, again, is his obsession. He's already planned from the beginning that he wants to give laxatives to some of the examiners and to bomb the building that they're taking the exam in. Whether it gets to the bombing itself, I'm not actually sure. It might have just been a backup plan. But this was his plan at this point. He already knew what he was going to do. Man, that step stool scene. You see, it's dramatic, not only to signify that it's like, oh no, he got the wrong drug, but also to say that, oh no, everything is going so wrong to Nagito. What bad luck, he should have to fall like that. But this is fake shock. He is surprised that it happened, but he's also not at all surprised. He already expected something like that to happen. He also says, well, with my luck, I can leave it up to chance. And he's not referring to getting the actual drug there. He's saying that no matter what, it's either going to be the right choice, which is good luck, or the wrong choice, which is bad luck. But neither will actually stop him from getting his goal. Now, when we get to the part with him writing the note, we've already seen this in Super Dangan Ronpa 2, like Komaeda is staying in the shadows. He's manipulating the scene so that he doesn't have to get directly involved. And I was gonna question his access to bombs, but then I remember he's also a rich motherfucker, so I just kinda... So, when he bumps into the super high school level pharmacist again in the hallway, when their bags switch, he says something like, "Seems we were both unlucky." But then he questions it to himself soon after. Unlucky? Me? The super high school level lucky student? And I could see this in two ways. He's either feigning ignorance, or he's actually taking pause at the fact that this is how his cycle works. He's confused. The episode plays it so vaguely that it could be either or, and that's what I like about it. You can't really tell how many times Nagito has done something like this. Now, at this point, he's listing off all of his assets, the laxatives for the examiners, and the bomb he set up in the gym. Either totally aware or totally unaware of the previous details of them all being switched. He has these 5 cups, and I actually wonder who they were specifically for, but when he drops one and the dog licks the contents of the spilled cup, his reaction is genuine. It's genuine concern for this dog that's about to shit all over the place. Like, no, really, like that is exactly what would have happened. But when the drug actually takes effect on the dog, he's still shocked, but he's kind of like more understanding of the situation. Like, oh, okay, so that part was bad luck after all. But he just kind of shakes it off saying, anyways, he says, I still have the bomb, and then is met again with his surprise. Perhaps he really didn't consider this much bad luck, but then again, he does say, I knew it. What bad luck? As if to say, well, I've accepted that my plan would fail, so I'm just unlucky. This is the cycle. Despairing over his bad luck. His plan has failed, and he already has accepted that much. This is where I say it could be split into 2 different ideas. Either he really didn't know that these bad things were happening behind the scenes, or he knew exactly that they were going to happen and he just had to pretend they weren't there. Because he knew in the end that his plan could fail for him. But even then, that's not gonna stop him. He says this, "To think I'd get the wrong drug, and also take the wrong bag. What bad luck. This is the worst sort of bad luck. For me, the super duper high school level lucky student, to get to experience it, I'm so lucky." Now, this isn't meant to just be like the tense comedic scene, because of course the fucking building blows up when he says this. I think that it's either the amount of bad luck that happened has never happened to him before, or it's because of his bad luck that he knows his plan will actually succeed. Maybe he thinks that he's lucky because he already knows everything has fallen into place. He's at the worst possible place he could be. His plan has completely failed. So the only explanation is his plan will actually succeed. This is the relief part of the cycle. He does say this, "I thought nothing was going my way, but look, everything has gone my way. It ended up going the same as always." This to me could prove either point. It's either the moment Komaeda realizes the strength of his luck cycle, or it's just another day to him. And personally, I lean towards the latter. I think that this has happened so many times that he already knew from the get-go he had to set up the plan for him to fail, for it to succeed. And he did that by leaving it up to his bad luck. Not once did he ever make a conscious decision to screw himself over. All he did was say, well, I'm the lucky student, so I'll grab one of the drugs, and they obviously should be the one I have to draw. Not necessarily the correct drug, but the one he needed to. The same thing happened with the bags. That's why he questioned when he picked up his bag, am I actually unlucky? The truth is, he's severely lucky. He is so lucky that his own plan succeeded when everything said it should fail. And that is exactly how his cycle works, because he knows it. It's happened over and over in his life. His parents died right in front of him, but in the end result he gains freedom and inheritance money. He gets kidnapped by a murderer, but then when he gets released and thrown in the garbage, he finds a winning lottery ticket. It's things like this that he has to understand. There's no way for this cycle to end. He has to take control of it. That's why his power is so scary. Now, the scene with Chisa, I think, is pretty straightforward. He explains his obsession, which is the same old, I want to see the ultimate hope. And at the point when she argues with him, he kind of retreats as if to say, yeah, I knew you wouldn't believe me, but that's okay, because that's not gonna stop me from believing it. But of course he also retreats into his self-loathing, and he earns a slap from Chisa. It's the slap that actually stops him, but he isn't shocked by it at all. He actually braces it, but when she holds his face, that's when he's actually surprised. This was, I think, the first moment where anybody tried to understand him, even if they didn't think they could. She wasn't gonna let him treat himself like garbage, even though he believed it. Now, at the end, the headmaster acknowledges that Komaeda neither administered the laxatives nor set off the bomb directly. And if it was his end goal that he managed to pull off just because of his luck, they don't want to lose that talent. After that, the recruiter says something like, luck is scary. And I agree 100% with that. Komaeda's character is so complex and so scary. This episode is a perfect representation of the kind of character that Komaeda is. He's neither a villain nor a hero. He's this in-the-middle-of-the-road character who wants something good, but will do so much bad to attain it. This is not him post-despair. This is pre-despair. Just like in Super Dangan Ronpa 2, he's the one who perpetuated the first murder. Komaeda has already fallen victim to despair. That is his life. But he holds on to hope so much that he is this character of balance. His cycle makes him one of the most interesting and complex characters to me, because not only does he believe in hope, but he knows he has to believe in despair. His end goal is to see only hope arise from the worst despair. And I wonder if he thinks he'll actually ever retain it. In any case, I felt like this was a good episode, and I know now the reason why I wasn't sad was because it's exactly who he is. And taking this time to go back and watch the episode is making me really appreciative of how real his character feels. And I'm just glad that a character like his exists in this series. Better than it being just black and white.